this was the artwork that we looked at last time, and it was called Youth Mourning by George Clawson. So now we are going to be moving on to the next day. And I apologize because obviously today is not the 24th of February, it's actually the 26th, but we're going to be going in chronological order from where we left off, if that makes sense. But of course you're free to download this app if you're interested in seeing what today's artwork is. Okay, so this portrait is a painting by Galicia, and it's called The Portrait of Paulo Morriga. And as always, we are going to take a screen grab and open it up in Goodnotes. Okay, so before we get into the analysis and the history behind this portrait, we're going to take a little look at it ourselves and kind of critique it a little bit. So let's have a look properly. So, what can we see? So we see a portrait of what I think is a man, and it looks like he is in a educational setting. As you can see, we can see he is writing words on some paper. There is a book under him. He's holding a quill in his hand. There are some books here on the side of him. It looks like he is in plain robes, in a scholarly kind of fashion. In his left hand he holds an object which looks like two spheres, but I think it might be a pair of spectacles. I'm not sure. He wears a cloth cap, and his expression appears to be quite sad, or, you know, looking off to the side somewhere here. At the top we have some writing, which I believe is in Latin, and a date 1596. The background is just black to really emphasize the portrait of this man, so nothing else is distracting you. The most important subject is this man and the books. So, what is this painting all about? So, like we said, it's the portrait of Paulo Morriga by Galicia, and it was painted in 1670. mentions an inscription, which we've just seen. Recording the subject, the 72-year-old Milanese historian Paulo Morriga, general of the Jesuit order, and the date 1596. He is shown in the act of writing verses for the artist herself. He seems to have just turned to the viewer after taking off his glasses, as if he had just looked up from his work. The eyeglasses. The vitality that comes directly from Morikia's eyes is striking, definitely, as is the artist's profound study of his physiognomy. Feed Galicia here reveals her deep knowledge of the Lombard tradition of portraiture, especially the work of Moroni and Lorenzo Lotto, while the detail of the reflection in the glasses was inspired by a North European tradition. The books stacked on the desk are depicted with naturalistic fidelity, like a still life. They include Morriga's most famous work, La Nobilia di Milano. Morriga prized this portrait by Feed Galicia highly, regarding it as a very good likeness. So, let's make some notes on what we have learned about this particular painting on our Goodnotes app. So, what do we know? What do we know? We know that this is a portrait. And it is the portrait of Paulo Morriga. So, portrait of Paulo Morriga. Let's check Paulo Morriga. It's good. Paulo Morriga. And let's change this to 3. And it is by Feed. I don't know whether or not I can do this. No, by Feed Galicia. By Feed Galicia. So what else do we know? We know that the inscription at the top depicts the 72-year-old Milanese historian Paulo Morriga. So let's write that. So this is a description of subject 72-year-old Paulo, 72-year-old. Let's put historian. He was 72. Paulo Morriga. Paulo Morriga. Okay. So that's that. He is shown in the act of writing verses for the artist herself. So that's there. Writing about the artist to have just turned to the viewer after taking off his glasses, as if he had just looked up from his work. So he has just taken off glasses as if disturbed from his work. Okay, and what else does it say? The vitality that comes directly from Morikia's eyes is striking. So yes, I agree. So vitality in eyes is striking. I absolutely agree with that. And then what else does it say? Deep knowledge of the Lombard tradition of portraiture. So this Lombard tradition of portraiture. Okay. Especially the work of Moroni and Lorenzo Lotto. So, Moroni and Lorenzo Lotto. Lorenzo. One set. Lotto. And what else is there? And the detail of the reflection in the lenses was inspired by a North European tradition. So, reflection inspired by North European tradition. The books stacked on the desk are depicted with naturalistic vitality, like a still life. They include Morikia's most famous work, La Nobiliata di Milano. So, depict Morikia's work. How can I do that? Which was called can we paste this in? Okay, maybe not. I'll just type it out. Morikia's work, La Nobilità di Milano. I apologize for any bad spelling. Okay. And Morriga prized this portrait by Vide Galicia highly, regarding it as a very good likeness. So in other words, Morriga loved this portrait of himself 1670. And we didn't include the medium either. Oil on canvas. Oil on canvas. Okay. So, it is the portrait of Paulo Morriga, painted in 1670, oil on canvas by Galicia. It was painted in the Lombard tradition of portraiture, inspired by Moroni and Lorenzo Lotto. And Morikia himself loved this portrait as it resembled him perfectly in his opinion. It looks like he's just taken off his glasses as he's disturbed from his work as he looks up. And the reflection in the glasses was inspired by a North European tradition. Here is seen writing about the artist herself, and in the background you have some very striking, still life almost, depictions of Morikia's work, La Nobilieta di Milano. The vitality in his eyes is absolutely striking. It's almost like you've captured a picture of him. And up here we have an inscription that basically just says that this is 72-year-old historian Paulo Morriga. Now, I don't know the background to Morriga and Galicia's relationship, but it looks to me like they were very good friends. You wouldn't take the time out of your day to just paint somebody you didn't like, right? So I'm guessing that Paulo and Feed were very good friends. So that is Daily Art from February 24th, the portrait of Paulo Morriga. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you very soon.